Hello, this is Harper. I am 19 and I am a transgender man. If you're trans, you've probably heard the argument, being transgender is just a trend. You're not actually trans because you didn't know at a young age. You just want to be special. You only think you're trans because you met someone else that was trans. My coming out was riddled with this kind of language, disregarding the fact that I was uncomfortable with my body since age 11. I lived with a cis heteronormative family. I didn't even know what gay people were. Trans people had little to no visibility when I was a kid, except in like shock articles and articles about how freaky trans people were. So when I finally met a trans person at the age of 14 and he told me about how he was feeling and why he was trans and what gender dysphoria felt like, the heavens opened up. And then very promptly closed again because suppression. But the point still stands. How do you expect a young trans person to know that they're trans at a young age without any exposure to trans people? That's like saying someone with a physical disease doesn't really have that disease because they heard about it from someone else who has the disease.
Oh, you have eczema? Yeah, I've always thought that it was just some weird dry rash, but I met someone else with eczema and they told me what their symptoms were, and then I realized I had eczema too. Oh, you don't really have eczema. You're just trying to piggyback off of their illness. You're just trying to be a snowflake. You didn't go to your doctor about eczema before you knew about eczema. You're just being influenced into thinking you have eczema because it's a trend. People just want to be special and have all these different illnesses like eczema and psoriasis because it makes them feel different. Everyone has eczema nowadays.
It's totally ridiculous. So what is with all these people telling trans people they're not really trans? What part of I've had these feelings for years and was told they were normal, or I was too scared to voice them at all, but then met a trans person and had similar feelings to them and then did copious amounts of research and concluded that I might be trans is invalid. Being trans isn't something that you just choose to be. There are no perks of being trans. We're not some cool club that everybody wants to join. We're just people. Nobody wants to be potentially ostracized or kicked out of their house or disowned, bullied, discriminated against, or to increase the risk of them being murdered. It's not about being different. It's about being who we are. And let me tell you, it's a long road to accept who you are. So yes, I did start thinking about potentially being trans or how my feelings are similar to this trans person's after meeting a trans person. But where else do you expect me to learn what being trans is like? I didn't know I was trans as a kid because there were no trans people that I knew as a kid. We didn't have Laverne Cox, we didn't have Caitlyn Jenner, we didn't have I Am Jazz. We were still coming to terms that there were people that weren't straight. So me learning about trans people for the first time at the age of 14 is not really shocking. And it shouldn't be a reason to invalidate my gender or the fact that I'm trans. I think a lot of cis people think that there was no processing of, oh, I might be trans, and that it was just, hey, I'm trans, because often we think about it for years before we say anything. We're not being coerced into being trans. We're not being influenced by the transgenders into thinking we're trans. The support of friends or partners is not making us trans. If anything, it's making it way more easier to, come to terms with feelings, or even come to the conclusion that maybe we're not trans. All we're doing is trying to be comfortable with who we are and finding who we truly are. And isn't the mantra of so many films and books about finding who you are and being who you truly are? So maybe you should just let me be who I truly am. Okay, my name is Harper and I'm signing out. Peace out.